Okay, so now guys, we are moving towards our next topic. That is what? Why we need to subdivide the project into phases. What is that, guys? Phases. You can say the phases. POC is a phase or not. POC means, guys, proof of concept, whether the idea can be turned into the reality. You can also say that is the concept development is a one phase. We can have also feasibility study phase. We can also have, guys, the designing is a phase. We can also say that is the building and the testing transition phase. Transition phase, right? So these are what? Phases. We have to subdivide the project into phases for better control. Better control on what, Ambarish? Better control on each and every aspect of the project. So can I say that, guys, this is the project, right? And this project, that is the phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, phase 4, and the phase 5. So in that phase 1, guys, I can say that initiate, plan, execute, monitoring and control, and close. Am I right or wrong, Abhilasha? My question, is that right or wrong? Say yes, right. Wrong, you can say no. Y or N? Yes, Babita, Krishna, yes. Abhilasha, yes. Okay, wrong, guys. That is the point. I told you, guys, I told you that is the POC is phase. Feasibility is a phase. These are not the phases, these are the process groups. Yes or no? Each phase is having its own process groups. Am I right now? Clear? Each phase. So whatever the feasibility study you do have, guys, for that feasibility study, you have to initiate or not. Am I right? You need to make a plan for that stage or the phase, guys. Make an execution according to the plan of this phase only, and then you need to close. So where is the monitor and control, Jyotirmay? As you said, monitor and control throughout the life cycle of the project. This is the realistic approach. Yes or no, guys? I hope you got my point. So phases, just one or two question, guys, you will see in the examination. Based on this logic, phases are not process groups. Each phase is having its own process group. That is the reason, guys, a phase is what? A phase is a collection of logical related project activities or not, that always work on the completion of a deliverables, multiple or one, whatever, single or multiple. So the output of one phase will be given you a deliverable or not. Am I right, guys? POC done, it means the proof of concept, that is a draft version done. We can give you the go or no go situation. Am I right, guys? Continue to the project or better to terminate the project, because if the project is not worthwhile, we can terminate the project and we can utilize these resources, funds and the others things on what, guys? On the other more worthwhile phase or the project. That is the point, guys, in the adaptive approach. So first of all, what we need to understand, guys, when we are using the adaptive approach. So x-axis, guys, consider what? X-axis and the y-axis. X-axis, consider there are degree of changes. Means, guys, the changes on your project low to high if varying. So low to high degree of changes. And on the y-axis, guys, low to high, I can consider that is the frequency of delivery of the product, right, guys? So in case if we do have the low frequency of delivery and the low changes on the project, guys, we can use the predictive approach or not, Babita, Jyotirmoy, Anu, right? Less degree of changes and the less frequency of delivery. Aisha, correct, thank you. We can use the predictive approach, guys, that is a plan driven. This plan driven approach also known as a waterfall approach. So in that waterfall approach, how can we execute the project, guys? We can execute the project like that. In a simple word, we can make a plan. After that, we can have the execution, or guys, we can create. After that, what we will happen, guys? Review and then we can release and the final product will be there. What is that, guys? Waterfall approach. No project is a waterfall approach nowadays, guys, because we are working in a rapidly changing environment, fast moving scope. Yes or no? Technology is changing very fast, so we have to work in the adaptive approach. But yes, 100% we are not using the adaptive, guys, because sometimes scope is very much clear, Jyotirmay, from the historical previous information. If you are executing the project which is similar to the previous project, then better we can use the previous information or not. What is the use or what is the purpose to reinvent the wheel? So in that stage, guys, so whenever you are using the predictive and the adaptive by default hybrid, so we can use maybe 20% predictive and 80% adaptive. This is the real approach, guys, in the market what we are executing, and that is PMI supporting. So it is not necessary all the scope is clear. No, 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 guys. So 10%, 20%, 30% scope is clear. The scope which is not clear, we can use the adaptive approach. So high degree of changes as well as the high frequency of delivery, we can use, guys, agile or not adaptive approach. What is that? In this adaptive approach, guys, we are using the, it is agile is a mindset, and in that adaptive approach we are using the iterative and the incremental approach. What is that? The same thing, guys. I can say that we need to make a plan, then we need to create or execute, then we need to review that deliverable, and then release the product, and that is the preliminary product, guys. Right? This is what iteration number one. Iteration, that is a limited simultaneously. Yes, Prachi, exactly, all the process groups simultaneously we are working. So that is what, guys, this is the preliminary output we have received. After using that, guys, we need to have the iteration number two, and in that case we are using plan, then create or execute, review and release. So guys, this is the iterative and the incremental approach or not adaptive approach. Iterations or the sprint, it is what, guys, it is a limited time period. That is the point I told you. This what I told you, that is sorry, what I said, this is agile is a time box. Yes or no? Time box, 2 to 4 weeks, that is the standard, guys. On my project defined by my organization, strictly, guys, we have to work only 1 week iteration, strictly defined, because that is a research project. So on the research project we cannot take the risk for the 2 weeks or 3 weeks. So strictly defined that our iterations or the sprint duration 1 week. In that 1 week, plan, create, review, execute, release, right, preliminary product. After that, next week, guys, normally that is 2 to 4 weeks duration. Iteration number two, plan, release, review, and then sorry, plan, create, review, release, and then it will become your intermediate product including this. And then after that, guys, iteration number three, that is the plan, execute, review and then release, that is the final output. That is the iteration number three. This is known as the adaptive approach, guys. It is not necessary that we do have in a sequential way, as I think Prachi you said, that can also be overlapping way or not. Possibilities are there, guys, possibilities are there. So phases, we can subdivide the project into phases for better control. In adaptive approach, guys, we are not using the word phases, but yes, we are using this iterations. So in the predictive approach we are using the word phases. Logic same, Jyotirmay. Phases are what? Phases is a little bit high level information. We have to subdivide the project into phases. For example, I told you feasibility study, one phase. In that phase one, you can have plan, create, review, release, done, go or no go situation. We can move to the phase two. Subdivide the project into phases for better control on each and every aspect. So we do have two types of the phases according to this PMI approach. Number one, that is known as the phase one and the phase two. So phase one and the phase two, guys, in a sequential way or not, which is known as the sequential phase. Start to finish relationship and the start to finish. Yes or no? Every project is start and then finish, right? So means we can have this finish to start phase, sequential, finish to start. One project or activities or iteration finish, then only we can start the new one. One thing. Second, guys, that is known as the overlapping phase or the overlapping stage. Any one of you guys, if in case you are following the standard from UK, so in UK phases are known as the stages. Don't worry, both are the same thing. Terminology is only different. Phases in US standard, stages in the UK standard. Okay, so means anyone of you is Prince 2 certified, or any terminology that you are using the Axelos, so Axelos standard, they are using the stages. The concern, guys, overlapping, which means phase 1 is still not finished, but you have started the phase 2. Overlapping or not, what is the purpose, guys? The purpose of this overlapping stage or overlapping phase is what? Design is still not ready and you have started the execution. It will increase the risk on that phases or not? Am I right, guys? Do you agree with that, Abhilasha, Aisha, Ambarish, Anu, Priti? Right, so what is that, guys? Reduce the time. Yes, I do agree, we do agree on that. Reduce the time but increase the risk. Now, guys, the concern is very important. What is a risk? As I told you, a risk is an uncertain event or condition. If it will occur on the project, will give you a positive or the negative impact. So according to this, guys, if I will tell you the risk may arise, Aisha, on your project from Vibin, from scope. Yes or no? Risk may arise from time. Risk may arise from the cost, positive or negative, guys. Risk also may arise from the quality, stakeholder not satisfied, resources not available. That is the point I told you, guys. Resources required does not necessarily mean resources available. It is a risk or not? Funds required does not necessarily mean funds available with you. That is a risk itself. So risk may arise from all the KPIs or not. In a simple word, guys, I am not giving any hypothetical or assumption, guys. In a very simple way, yes, impact success factor, Prachi, exactly. All the KPIs, risk may arise from all the KPIs. So means the thing over here is that risk can be either positive or negative. Positive, that is known as the opportunity, and negative, that is known as the threats. So overlapping phase, guys, reduce the time, always increase the risk. Overlapping stage or the phase, also known as, it is one of the schedule compression technique. I will discuss with you guys in detail at the time of the time topic, right? Schedule topic, right? So fast tracking. Second thing, that, guys, it is also known as a lead. Babita, raise the hand, please. Yes, you can. Why not? You can ask the question. Raise the hand first. Yes, yes, Babita, you can speak now, please.
Sorry. So, in what situations or conditions we start phase two? Because whilst we know we are in the process of phase one, which means we haven't arrived or derived to a specific skeleton system on how we work. And
Mm-hmm.
under what situations or
Very good.
influence or aspects we start the phase two, considering the risk, which is not easy to mitigate.
Yes, which is not easy to mitigate. Very good concern. So risk is what? First of all, Babita, one by one, you will give my answer. Very good question. I do agree with that, and I really appreciate your question. Very good question, guys. Babita, question is, in what situation we can use the overlap stage, right? Concern is, a sponsor came to scenario I am creating, Babita. Am I audible?
Yeah, yeah.
Am I to everyone, guys? Just in notification. Okay. Yes, Abhilasha, you want to say something before that? Or it is.
Just with respect to this question, can I give my input?
Yes, yes, why not? That is the interactive session. After that, I will, make the conclusion. Very good. Go ahead,
Yeah.
please.
So, say for an example, we have a project and it is divided into phases, or we can say waves. So it happens sometimes that because we have left the timeline for the first phase to minimize to impact, we have to see that the impact should not be in the second phase or in the third phase. Sometimes simultaneously we have to start phase one, and with the experience, resources, or with the and with the presence of stakeholders permissions, we have for the business point of view, we have to take forward to the phase two and phase three also. Yes, it includes it has some its risk, but because of the timelines, we need to focus on the phase 2, phase 3 simultaneously with the phase 1 also.
Very
So
good.
I face this thing in my project, and we have started phase 1, and then after like we have to start it on June, for example, but we have started in May only because we have left the timeline of the phase 1. So as per the circumstances, we have to take some decisions and go through that with with a percentage of risk.
Very good. Thank you, Abhilasha. So what Abhilasha want to say, let me conclude. That is also part of the example of that. So in case she said one thing, the observation they have decided instead of June, they have started the phase 2 in the month of May because of the impact, right, Abhilasha? You have calculated that because of the penalty clause, if you are delaying the project. I think, Abhilasha, you are in TCS, right? So that is the penalty clause. Penalty clause impact is more than even you are taking the or overlapping the phases. Yes or no? That, Abhilasha, you want to say? Am I right? Impact means the penalty clause. Because of the penalty, you don't want to give the penalty because penalty will give you the bad name in the market in front of the customer. So what you have decided, or based on the circumstances, rather than to extend the schedule, better we can take the risk, right, Babita? Take the risk for what? To overlap the activities. Even 80% only completed, is still 100% not finished, but I have to start the phase 2 based on the time condition. Time is the very important factor for my current project. One of the example, Babita. Hope that
Yeah,
one clear,
yeah,
right?
clear. Thank you.
Second thing, no, still let me explain. Anyone want to add? I think Ambarish, you would like to add?
I uh,
Mangesh, yes,
I want to
Mangesh.
add something here.
Yes, Mangesh, please.
In my previous organization, I have seen that we have phase one, phase two, phase three. So normally phase one, normally they divided the user stories, number of
Right,
user stories. So at one sprint, you can say they have to pick up 4 user stories. So they are designing, then they're designing, developing. Once the developer finish, that goes into testing phase. That time they pick up the second phase, or you can second sprint, you can say, next 4 user stories, so that they can start planning,
right.
they start
And
planning, so that testing
still
activity
you
is
are
going
in
on.
the testing of the phase 1.
Phase one. So
Yes,
testing is in first phase, and planning, start planning, so that it's a agile methodology. So
yes,
that
yes, yes.
once second next post user stories goes to the test means designing phase. Once the testing phase completed now, so the testers will utilize for the test case planning. So
Right,
it's revolving, a tester should not be they once they complete the SIT. Once they complete the
right,
SIT, the application goes to the UAT. The testers will involve in the next sprint or next user stories, test case planning and test case designing. So that
right.
once that is available for after coding, once it is available for the testing, they will execute the test cases on that application. They will give the SIT completed, and they will give to the for the UAT.
Right.
So this is a revolve
Very good.
means that is a
Revolving, yes.
revolving.
Right. That is the iterative and the incremental.
This is
What is SIT, guys? That is the system integration testing. UAT, that is the user acceptance testing. That Mangesh used that two different terminologies. Right. One thing, guys, one more point. I will thank you, Mangesh. Thank you, Abhilasha, as well for your inputs. Very good question, Babita raised. So one more thing I would like to add. A sponsor came to you, Babita. That is the example, third example from my side. A sponsor came to you and a sponsor said the duration of the project 3 years, right, to complete the project, and you have subdivided the project into phases, right? 3 4 phases you have subdivided, but a sponsor came to you. He said that instead of 3 years, I would like to finish the project within 2.5 years, right? So what is that? Within 2.5 years, if you would like to compress, then Babita, what will happen? Free of cost you can do it? Of course not. You have to have some impact assessment, and you need to check with the customer that, sir, what is our benefit that if we can finish the project within 2.5 years, right? Because your timeline 3 years. So at that time, is sponsor will let you know that I will provide you the 5% incentives without sacrificing with the scope, Babita. If sponsor is reducing the scope, that is a different way, but sponsor is not reducing the scope, just want to reduce the timeline because he want to make the market capture earlier than planned. The same thing what Abhilash just said. If I will take the example of Apple, if Apple launch date in the month of August, they will launch the in the month of 1 month or 2 months before to capture the better market within a shortened time period. So in that case, sponsor, so it is a win-win situation, Babita. So
Yeah.
sponsor told you that I will provide you the 5% of incentives if you can finish the project earlier than planned. What is the budget of your project? The budget of your project is, am I audible, guys?
Yep, you are.
Harveen is not listening to me. Harveen, check it at your end, please.
Audible.
Okay, am I audible? Oh yes, am I? I am. Okay, thank you. So in that case, guys, 5% of the $50 million, how much, Babita? That is the $2.5 million. Yes or no? So
Yep.
in that case, it is a positive risk or not? It is a
It
positive risk.
is.
So
It
would you
is.
like to take this positive risk or not? Yes, at the time of the overlapping, you need extra resources. Yes or no? To cut short the timeline, right? Additional resources. For that one also, you need extra funds to complete the project. And the major concern, sometimes it has been noticed that, Babita, resource required does not necessarily mean available within the organization, also does not necessarily mean available in the market what you are looking for normally. So yes, it is itself a risk, but yes, because that is my opportunity is more than how much the risk I am taking over here, so I can say that my expenditure to overlap these activities or the phases coming $1.5 million additional expenditure, Babita. So still I am saving $1 million opportunity or not? Are you getting my point? This is the beauty. And that's why I told you subdivide the project into phases for better control. And better control on what? Better control on each and every aspect to gain the risk. That's why risk is not only negative. The point what Abhilasha said, I do support her statement, what she said, because of the timeline. After this 3 years, what will happen? The penalty clause will be there, penalty clause. And the penalty, guys, normally I am coming, Jyotirmay, to your concern. And the penalty most of the time, that is the 1% per day, most of the time, most of the circumstances. So if you are delaying the project 10 days, what will happen? US client, they are very strict, guys. So what will happen? Your 10% of profit finish. So this one is better, or this one to take the risk over here is better? That is the point, Babita. Hope the answer. Three different
Yeah, it
answers, right?
answers. Yep.
Thank you. Very good. Jyotirmay,
Thank
yes,
you.
please. You raised the hand earlier.
You just told us that there is an additional 1.5 million cost, and now my budget is 51.5 million. Am I right?
No, no, no. You are charging that, sir. Actual cost I'm not talking about. I am talking about the total budget of the project is $50 million
Million.
allocated to you, and how
And
much additional given by the customer? 2.5. So total is 52.5,
yes,
right?
yes,
What
yes,
was your actual expenditure? Because this 52.5, Jyotirmay, that is additional to, including your profits or not, right?
yes,
So your actual expenditure, for example, $40 million, and out of that, two and a half, 1.5 also additional. So
yes,
earlier you were earning only 41, but now you are earning 41 or not? 1 million extra.
yes, yes,
Even you are taking the risk.
yes,
Hope that is your concern, I think, right?
yes,
Hope the
yes.
answer.
Another
Yes.
thing
Yes.
I
Yes.
just
Yes,
want
please.
to share is that we had a project because I come from a media industry.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to relate to this parallel thing you are talking about, na, this agile model. This one iteration is going on. After the output, we are going for the next iteration, I1, I2. And
Right.
sometimes it happens, this can occur simultaneously as well.
Right.
What I'm telling is that in our industry, there are I was a part of a team that was building a DTH facility. DTH means Tata Sky.
Direct to home service.
Yeah, Tata Sky basically.
Yes. Yes. Tata Sky DTH.
This facility basically has three modules basically. Major is one is downlink, another is monitoring, another is uplink. Okay. So these are the major three modules. So what my company did is they did an extensive planning for around 2 years. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And for these three modules, it's a must that should be there in the facility. Okay.
Right.
They had three different vendors for each module. Okay.
Very good.
So they executed the work parallelly in
Right.
the three modules. And at the end of the day, within 6 months, it got completed all the three modules. They just
Integrate.
integrated the three modules, and the project was supposed to, if individually, if it was done in a linear way, it should have taken around 4 months. Here, it got completed around 8 months.
How many? It will 4 months total, if in a linear way.
Linear way, it was supposed to take around 12 months.
12
Okay.
months, yes.
So it got completed around 4 to 5 months. Basically.
Right, 4 to 5 months. Right.
Actually, what happens is that they did parallelly. It was of all what they did is integration and test.
Right.
So, is this the example of a parallel process?
Yes. This is also the example. So for on the top way, because you are the very good Jyotirmay, your concern on the top, you are the project manager, and the extensive planning you have made, you are with respect to your team members, that three module, rather than to give this one vendor, we have given this to different vendors working parallel. Sir, parallel means the overlapping or not? This is also the example, because for you it is overlapping or not. Forget about these three different vendors, they are working individually, right? But for you, instead of 12 months, you have completed the project within 5 months. Reduce the time or not?
Yes.
But little bit increase, a little bit risk also there, because if they are not capable to integrate, that
Yes.
will be the little bit, I'm not saying that very huge risk, it is a very small risk, that in case integration not did by them, because what technology, so as a project manager you have to coordinate with them, all of them should use the same technology, because in future we can integrate appropriately. Am I right, Jyotirmay, that you did? And this is your role. Actually, majority of the projects are failure because lack of communication. So if you are not giving that information to all of these three in a vendor meetings, right, that guys utilize this technology, because end of the day we need to integrate. Yes or no? Risk also mitigated.
Yes.
Jyotirmay, right? Yes, that is also the example of the overlapping on behalf of you, Jyotirmay. You, because whose project you belongs to, this project belongs to you, and you have subdivide that module 1, 2 and 3, different three vendors, to reduce the time. Accepted? Reduce the time. Yes, very good example, very good, thank you. That is the beauty, guys, of the interactive session, and I like you to share your experience, because if one example is not getting anyone, another example, and the third, I hope that is who was that, Babita? Point is clear, right? See how many examples we do have. That is the interactive session. We are going good. Thank you very much, guys, for your inputs.